today we're going to talk about a little bit about everything. Fear, procrastination, what's really stopping us behind, okay? So we got a great topic. All right, so we're going to start with problems, right? Everybody is, unfortunately, if we're not handling our problems correctly, we start becoming obsessed with our problems. You have to understand, there's no other way for our Creator to get our attention. There's no other way. You have to understand that. There's no other way unless He gives you a difficulty or something in your life that's going to bring you closer to God. It's just the way it is. You can't run away from it. So if you're not getting closer to yourself, to Hashem, He's going to call us, unfortunately, not the best way. See, first our Creator whispers to you, listen, you're going the wrong way. And then if you don't get that one, what happens? He yells at you. You're going the wrong way. And at the end of the day, He knocks the door open. And then you ask, why did He knock my door open? So these are, unfortunately, we always want to be preventative. We don't want the door to be open. And next thing you know, we got a crisis. So remember, if the problem is bringing you closer to God, it's a very good sign. If the problem is bringing you away from God, it's not a good sign. So that's simple fundamentals. Forget about the actual problem. Look at what is the problem doing to you. What is the problem? At the end of the day, our Creator knows He can get rid of all our problems. In 1 second, He can get rid of all your problems. But if you're not taking this problem as an opportunity to get closer to God, then it's not serving the right purpose. Then the problem has to be longer and longer and longer. That is not so favorable. Because what happens is it's going to be a big burden. See, we have an option in this world. God tells us, cast your burdens upon Him, and He will help you. Now, if you want to sit there and carry the burden by yourself, God bless you. But it's going to be very heavy, and it's going to be very painful, and you're not going to enjoy this world if you're carrying burdens all the time. It's like the guy in the airport, he's got 25 luggages. You tell him, listen, let me help you out. No, I'm strong. I can do it myself. 3 minutes later, the guy falls over, he trips on his face. Oh, his luggage is everywhere. And next thing you know, we told you, hey, yo-yo, I could have helped you. Stop having such a big ego. This is exactly a parable to life. If you want to sit there and you think you can handle all the problems by yourself, you're going to be like that guy in the airport carrying 25 luggages with no cart and thinking you're a hero. And at the end of the day, you're going to lose. I hate to be so simple and so obvious, but this is like it is. So if you have a problem with your ex-wife, if you have a problem with your mother-in-law, if you have a problem with whoever you have a problem with, Hashem, I can't handle this woman by myself. I'm giving you my burden, and I'm going to trust in you. That's all I got to do. That's all He wants you to do. What happens if you try to hold it too long? It's going to wear you down. This is the beginning. This is why people are so tired. They are not tired from running marathons. I haven't seen that many Jews in the Olympics. I haven't seen that many people running marathons. When I go to the gym, I barely see religious people lifting weights. They're not tired from work. They're not tired from pumping iron. They're tired from thinking. Thinking, worry, exhaustion. This is what they're thinking and they're worried about. I don't see a lot of moving going on. I see a lot of thinking going on. So I understand you're exhausted, you ran a marathon, you just came back from the Tour de France. No, I don't see that many. I can count them on my fingers. It's all the exhaustion of a person wanting to be in control when he's not supposed to be in control, when God's supposed to be in control. What does that happen? When we try to figure everything out. I want to understand why this happened to me. How many people you say? I am not going to connect to Hashem until I get my answer. And I will wait until I get my answer. Okay, take a number. Take a number. You're going to be waiting a long time because it's against the system. You see, people don't have to like the Torah, but they have to know it. If you don't like it, but you have to know how the rules go, because if you don't know how the rules go, you're just going to suffer for no reason. And that's really, it's unfortunately, people are suffering for no reason. There's no reason. I see people suffering. They get sick. This person upset me. That person upset me. My day's ruined because of this. You're suffering for no reason. So that's all I want to explain to you. You don't have to live a life of misery. You can be very happy. You can hit all your goals. You don't have to. All these behaviors that we do is because we're exhausted, and that's really the truth. And that's why 90% of behaviors are based on people's moods. So if 90% of behaviors are based on your mood, when you're exhausted, what are you going to do? You're going to say, I'm tired, and you're going to procrastinate. And you're going to procrastinate what you're supposed to be doing in life. And that's when the real shame is. When you get to heaven, they say, listen, you were supposed to be a nuclear scientist and you became a plumber. What happened to you? No, life, couldn't take my wife. She stressed me out. It's not an answer. It's not an answer. So we procrastinate when we don't want to deal with reality. And this is something that we can't do anymore, because you must be what you're supposed to be. If a person's not who he's supposed to be, he's never going to be 100% of who he's never going to be 100% happy. Growth in life is when you're giving and growing, not when you're taking and shrinking. You are meant to have goals. You are meant to progress. You are meant to shine. When you're not growing and giving, you're shrinking and taking. What happens when you shrink and take? Then you're taking. Oh, you can't be a giver. If you can't be a giver, you can never be your best person. You can never be the best person you will be if you create a story and everybody has to sit there. Oh, this is the girl with the story, and then everybody has to give you attention, and you stay there. How many times do I see it in rehab? Okay, what's your story? 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 Everybody has a different story, so we don't have to be our stories. We have to divorce the story and marry the truth. So the problem is here is the way God created the world. He created the world that you should have first faith. That's why emunah. Emunah is such a big thing nowadays, because if you don't have emunah, then you're going to rely only on intellect. You see a lot of smart people, geniuses, but they won't touch a book. They won't get closer to Hashem. Very smart, brilliant, but they get stuck in a problem and then they abandon God because they need to understand it. I need to understand it. Well, guess what, buddy? You're not going to understand everything, because that's up to God to understand everything, not up to you. So how do we understand everything? The more he strengthens, the person strengthens his emunah, the more intellect he attains. If you're only waiting on the intellect to come, if you're waiting on the answers only to come and not the emunah, you're not going to get the answer. And you're going to get stuck in a lot of questions. And what happens when you do questions? Then you have a lot of pain that's not settled. And what do you do with the pain? You numb it. How do we numb it? Addictions, aggression, depression, or we do whatever we do not to deal with the pain. But all you had to do is go all in and embrace emunah, and you would have got your answer. You know, I see miracles all day long. I see this guy, it took him 3 months to get a get, right? And if he didn't wait the 3 months to get a get, I introduced him to a girl, and after the 3 months, the day after, that girl broke up with her boyfriend, and she told me, oh, do you have anybody for me? And it was exactly the exact time. If he didn't have to wait 3 months, he wouldn't have gotten the girl. So many stories I can tell you like this. My personal stories. If I had a particular business of mine, that all of a sudden the government started creating all kinds of laws and all kinds of edicts and all kinds of things. And what happens? I started saying, you know what? I see where the trend is going in this business. I'm going to pray for a new business. If it wasn't for that situation, I wouldn't have prayed for the new business. I wouldn't have gotten into the business that I'm in. Or whatever it is. It's always like that, by the way. The night has to come before the day. You can't run away from this. You can't run away from this. You have to understand that there's going to be an opportunity for you in life that it's not going to look so clear to you. That is the night in your night day, and that's the time you have to close your eyes and you have to wait and you have to go in 100% on emunah, and then you will understand why it happened to you. That's why people get out of problems when they find meaning in the problem. When you find meaning in the problem, you understand it, black and white. There's not even a question. There's not even any problems with going back and relapsing. If the person knows, wow, if I didn't go through this pill actually brought me closer to God, because now I have to be humble, now I have to be a giver, now I have to go to 12-step programs, and all day long, all I have to do is give to people, and that's when the guy's alive. Otherwise, the guy would have never gotten it. So this is a principle that if our perception, that means if our ego is very high, if our ego is very big, that lowers our perception. According to your ego is your perception. That means if you have a big ego, you're not going to see things, because the ego is stopping you from seeing the truth. For example, a person's wife could say, you know what? I think you should do this. Don't tell me what to do. Why are you telling me what to do? What do you know about business? Meanwhile, she's telling you, listen, maybe I have a suggestion. You should do this. What do you know about business? All you do is cook home. This is the second half of his soul speaking to him, and this is the way he talks to her. He talks to her like a chamor. because his ego, maybe she's got the greatest idea in the world, and maybe she's got the answer for him, but he won't take it because he doesn't understand that if I don't get the answer myself, I'm not going to get, I can't, there's no way. What, I got an answer from my wife? This is the way God created the world. He created the world that the less ego you have, the more light you get. The bigger the ego you have, the less light you get. So in your perception, once your perception is off, you're not going to succeed because you're not going to see things clearly. And once you don't see things clearly, then you're going to shrink all your responsibilities and say, it was the economy. It was this that caused me to do that, or that caused me to do that. So unfortunately, our ego is really the cause of all the pain in our lives. And we have to understand that. So that's why we always want to constantly check, and we want to be open. The Pirkei Avos says, who is a person that is wise? One who learns from others. It doesn't say one who learns all by himself. One who can understand from other people. You want to know what's wise? One who can understand from other people. One who's open-minded. I've gotten most of the ideas that I've gotten from things that I never saw coming. Never saw it coming. So that's one thing I need you guys to understand. We have to be open to everything, closed to nothing. Don't let your ego take over your life. Also, don't let, we spoke about this week, that a person has to be a diamond, not a window. A lot of windows, right? What's a window? Window is when you're constantly needing light from other people to be happy. If it's not light outside, I'm in a bad mood. That means you're a window. You're a receiver. Correct? What happens if it's raining for 2 weeks? You're in a bad mood. What happens if your husband's in a bad mood for 2 weeks? What happens if this guy's in a bad mood for 2 weeks? When you let other people control your behavior, the way people speak to you is the way they feel. It's not the way you feel. Only if you accept it. Only if you jump into that reality. So what does a diamond do? A diamond shines. A diamond doesn't need any light from anybody. A diamond's a giver. Diamond shines by itself. We can only succeed so much in life if we're a bunch of windows. Because one day, if I'm not getting any light, what? My life is over because this person spoke to me like that? We don't want that. We want to be diamonds. That's the difference between a diamond and a window. A diamond creates its own light. How? Finding the good points of himself, not letting other people's life affect him. So what happens is once we get into these patterns, we start having self-confidence, we start trusting ourselves, then we can actually maximize our potential. And that's what we want to get here. We want to be able to maximize. But is there going to be times where you're going to have to rely on intellect, on emunah, where things don't understand? Yes, you're going to understand that. And that's going to be part of life, and you have to realize that. There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to run from that concept. That's what Rav Nachman says here. He says here, if a person is looking for a logical reason, then he's never going to understand, he's never going to get the intellect. Basically, you're already in the problem anyway. I tell people, you're already in the mess anyway. You might as well go all in on the moon. At least you're going to get the answer. Otherwise, you're in the mess anyway. You're not getting the answer. So otherwise, you might as well go all in on the moon. And stop asking questions. Ask, how can I understand the situation differently? That's what we want to ask. We don't want to ask we want to ask, how can I get a reward from this? How can I turn this pain into pleasure? So understand that, especially if a person is going to do something holy. We have no idea the obstacles we have with this singles app. One headache after another headache after another headache after delay. But I know there's no way I'm going to create something that's going to pair hundreds of people to get married and it's going to be a walk in the park. I'm not going to Orlando. I know I got obstacles coming, so I already planned them. I planned already maybe 30, 40 obstacles, and I accept when they come, we accept them, and we deal with it. We don't sit there, maybe it's going to work, maybe it's not going to work, maybe I shouldn't do it, blah, 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 blah. That's where all the exhaustion comes from the doubts, the inner doubts that a person has. So, if we don't love ourselves, right, then it's very hard to put in the effort. Would a person put all this effort into somebody he doesn't like? Think about it. I have to go through obstacles. I have to go through emunah. I have to go through intellect. I got to go through all these obstacles in life. Why would I go through all that if I don't even love myself? If you don't even like the girl you're with, why are you going to go through and meet her mother-in-law and deal with her mother-in-law? I don't even like you. Why would I have to deal with your mother? I don't want to introduce you to my mother-in-law. I don't even like you. So why would I? You understand? According to the amount of obstacles that we don't like in the situation, we don't want to deal with the situation. So the same thing with us. To the extent we do not love ourselves, our willingness to endure short-term pain for long-term gains is not going to happen. Your why is not big enough for you to deal with pain. See, pain has to come to you. See, what happens to people? They don't want to deal with pain. No pain. No, what do you mean I have to go pray? I have to wake up 10 minutes earlier to pray to God? No, it's too much. I got to sleep. I have to sleep. I didn't sleep enough, right? I didn't sleep enough for 30 years. So he says, who wants to put an effort for somebody who they don't even like? That's the number one problem. Why would you want to put an effort for somebody you don't even like? Makes a lot of sense. If you love the girl you're with, you're going to put an effort to be humble, to treat her nice. But if you're not really into her, why should I worry about why should I go to rehab if I don't even like myself? I'd rather just take a pill and say goodbye. So according to the amount that you love yourself, that you value yourself, that you value your time, that's the effort that you will be willing to endure a little pain for pleasure. If you don't love yourself, see, we're getting to the root. Because I'm seeing why are people not moving, It's either there's not enough customers in the store or the customers are coming in and they're not buying. Something's an issue. You can't just talk to everybody the same way. So I realized that a lot of the situation is if a person doesn't want to spend time with himself, people don't want to spend time with people they don't like. So if you don't like yourself, you're not going to do his bodhidut. No matter how much I push you, no matter how much I tell you that it's the greatest thing in the world, that you're going to get to the 50th gate, but I don't want to spend time with myself. At least we're honest. When we have some honesty, we can get somewhere. If we don't have honesty, then we're creating a lot of fluff. A lot of fluff. And I'm not about that. You understand. Let's get to the root. Is it a zamra? Is there a problem with a zamra? Is it that we don't have good points? Then go back to a zamra and focus on the good points. And then we'll worry about the hisbodedut. Don't just talk without people producing. Right? That's what I specialize in. If it's not working, then you got to go back. You can't just give the same lesson to everybody if it's not working. So that's the one thing. Usually the problem is, I realize that people are not loving them, they don't love themselves, they're too hard on themselves. They fall because of obstacles. And you know what happens? They said, why should I work for myself? Why should I work for myself? Why should I deal with this pain? Let me just distract myself. One of the reasons why people don't create long-term goals is because they don't want to get underneath, they don't want to deal with reality. So what happens? The reason why people procrastinate a lot, they do a lot of small things that they don't do. So they're busy with a lot of nonsense, so they don't have to deal with the real issues. You got me? I don't want to deal with the real issues, the real emet, because that's too much for me to handle. It's too big, that light. So let me just deal with, I forgot to do this, I forgot to do this. So you start procrastinating on small stupidity, so you don't have to deal with the bigger stuff. And you say you're busy. You're busy with small things because you don't want to deal with the big. So they say people purposely they create drama, not to deal with reality, which is really, and it's honestly, you're lying to yourself. That's why Rav Nachman says in lesson 7, in lesson 9, that the only way God will come to you is through emet, through the truth. You have to be honest with yourself. At least say, listen, God, I have fear. I can't commit to anything. I have a problem committing to absolutely everything. Help me. Help me commit to it. But when you don't do that and you lie to yourself, then it just continues, it gets worse and worse and worse. And then we create stories. We create stories and we justify why we're not being the best that we can be. And that's where things get really, really bad in life. Because then we start doing things that we don't want. As it says here, God is my light, God is my help. Through falsehood, when a person removes his falsehood, it says here, God is near to all those who call him in truth. It doesn't matter if you spent the last 35 years dating a girl who's not Jewish. It doesn't matter if you spent the last 40 days eating non-kosher. It doesn't matter if you're addicted to this. It doesn't matter the past. The past is the past. You can't change the past. That's what it is. It is what it is. This is what happened. Maybe I was meant to fall. We can't deal with the past. The past is the past. But now I can say, okay, this is my scouting report. What do I do? I need help. Then you'll get help. So that's why I've seen people make breakthroughs only when they're honest and they said, listen, God, I don't love myself. Let me at least work on Amunah. Let me work on Bitachon. Let me work on Azamra, on finding the good points in my life. It's not an easy thing. Remember, I told you guys, your brain is already showing you what's wrong with your life more than what's showing you what's right. Your brain is programmed to show you trauma, to protect you from damage. It's not programmed you to give you gummy bears. It's not programmed you to tell you how great you are. So this is work. This is work, and this is something that we have to understand. This is work. The battle today is between the ego. The ego wants to do what looks good. The soul, what does even look good in a victim? Person that's stuck on something. It looks good if everybody's coming and give me sympathy all the time. It looks good. So it's not good for you, but it looks good. Right? So the ego always wants to do what looks good. Right? The soul wants to do what is good, and the body wants to do what feels good. That's the battle today. That's the battle. Those three are battling out. Whoever decides, whoever you give energy to, that's going to win. So if you're giving, it's all about the soul. If you're growing, it's all about the soul. If you're taking, it's all about the ego. If you're involved in lust all day long, it's all about your body. Nachman says in lesson 36, he's saying here that it's not possible. Every single soul comes to this world and gets tested. Remember, this is not the first round you've been here. It's not the first time you took Uber here. You've been here before. And we specifically have specific things that we have to correct. So your soul here says, before a soul gets tested and before a soul is going to see light, you know what's going to happen? You're going to get tested in the exile of the 70 languages. That means you're going to have all kinds of addictions that you're going to have to break. Maybe you have a food addiction. Maybe you have an addiction with immorality. Maybe you've got an addiction with money. Whatever your addiction is, that's where your fight is. My soul can't produce what it's supposed to until I hit that lower addiction. Maybe you're addicted to honor. Maybe you're addicted to always to procrastinate. Whatever it is, every nation is in that exile. My addiction was gambling impulsiveness. If I was continuing to be a gambler today, there would be absolutely no classes. That would hold me back from my potential. That would hold me back from opening up a rehab. That would hold me back from everything in my life. It would have been held back from this thing. You realize that? That would have been the one thing that would have held me back. Bilam had the same prophecy as Moshe Rabbeinu. What was him? He loved his chamor. He loved bestiality. That was his problem. Korach should have been rich guy, had everything, but his ego killed him. So we have to go through. We have a shell. We come here with a shell that we have to break that shell. Now, according to the amount of desire that we wanted, we break it. If we don't have the desire is not big enough, then we stay in the shell. But yes, you're going to have. That's why there's so much problems today with addictions. Food addiction, sex addictions, money addictions. This is, Reb Nachman says, you have to get out of slavery. But if a person is going through pain and he can't handle the pain, what does he do? He goes to the addiction because he numbs the pain. You understand? We can't numb the pain. Numbing is not going to work. So all of a sudden we become a slave to that addiction. Remember, anytime you do something repetitive, all of a sudden, what happens? The Yetzer Hara takes the key away from you. Anytime you do something repetitive, when you do repetitive habits, what we work on these classes is breaking habits. Anytime you do a repetitive action so much, it becomes so hard to break it. It's like somebody took the key away from you. Here you go. I got your key. You're stuck in a vault, in that habit. We have to cry out for help only through emet and say, Hashem, I have a problem. I have an addiction. I have to get out. Somebody has my key. You can't open the place without the key. You can't open without the key. That's what happens when we create this. So what happens? We have to go through that specific situation and we have to overcome it based on our soul. So, if we don't do that, then we just numb the pain. We numb the pain. Again, everybody has an addiction. Don't lie. Everybody has one. I had gambling. I had all of them. Everybody has one. Just the thing is, do you want to work on becoming the best version of you? Don't think, this guy, how could he not have one? You all have one. You're in America, you have something. I promise you have something. Get the skeleton out of the closet and be honest with yourselves. And just work on it. Work on it through his bodedut. God will help you with it. But everybody has one. Don't kid yourself. Don't think, oh, look at this guy. He has no problems. No. The fact that he succeeded is because he worked on himself. It just doesn't come to you. What's the difference between emunah and trust? Emunah is a belief. Trust is, I'm in. That means I don't have negative thoughts if I have trust. I could only have negative thoughts if I have emunah. I just have emunah, but no trust. Then you believe in Hashem, but you're still worried about the paying the bills. You're still worried about falling. Trust means I am all in. Emunah means I'm in, but I'm still worried about it. That means I'm 50% in. So trust, what does trust do? Trust basically converts emunah to action. The word that we hate so much. Action. It means without action, when we don't take action, what do? Procrastinate. Right? Procrastinate. When you don't take action, what do? No, I'll call the customer tomorrow. I have to plan for it. Right? Or I'll call, it's raining outside. He's not going to answer the phone today. He's not going to answer today. Or you'll say, tomorrow I'll start Tikkun HaKlali because today's my birthday and I want to have fun. You just start forming a way of procrastination. How does procrastination live? How does the Yetzer Hara live? He lives on time. The more time you give him, the more procrastination you do, the more time, the more it eats, the more it's hungrier. So what do we have to do? We have to break it. Otherwise, what do? You're caught in a habit of procrastination, and you're caught into a fear. What is procrastination? Fear of taking action. How many times do I meet guys? They don't want to give the ring to the girl. They're worried. They don't want to give the ring. They don't want to go to Tiffany's. They don't want to commit. They talk about it. Yeah. Where's the commitment? Until you put a ring, it's not commitment. You don't have emunah. So sometimes a guy could have had a divorce, or he could have had trauma in another marriage, and that could be stopping his whole life just because of fear. So fear doesn't just tell you what to do, it tells you when to do it. See the problem with fear? It controls you. It doesn't tell you what to, it tells you when to do it. That means you don't even have control of yourself anymore. That's even worse, because that's the worst part of fear. That's why the Torah is very, very big on a person saying, listen, this is who you're supposed to be. If you don't get your act together, then you're never going to be the person you're supposed to be. You're never going to actualize. When you don't actualize, it's like LeBron James becoming a ball boy. He's supposed to be LeBron James, but he said, you know what? I love donuts. So guess what? Next thing you know, instead of becoming LeBron James, he gains 65 pounds. Next thing you know, he's the ball boy. That's not what you're supposed to be. So that's why Reb Nachman says, you got to be great. You have greatness inside of you. Stop acting like a lemon. Stop acting like a lemon because of a story, because of comfort. We have to understand, your brain loves comfort. Why does it love comfort so much? Because all the Jews, what happened to the Jews? 80% of the Jews, where did they get stuck in? They get stuck in Egypt. How could you get stuck in Egypt if you're a slave? What do you mean you want to be stuck in Egypt? You love the cucumbers and melons in Egypt instead of becoming free and becoming who you're supposed to be? But two things are required for a person to break a habit. First, you have to have faith in yourself that you can do it. How do you have faith in yourself? Only by taking action. You could read The Garden of Peace, Garden of Moving, Garden of that movie, Self-Confidence 101, Trust Number. You can read all the self-help books. You can read Tony Robbins' Break Free, Limitations, the Giant Inside of You, The Giant Outside of You. You can read all those books if you want. No excuses, no blah, 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 blah. I know them all. Until you take the first step, it's all a bunch of potential knowledge. It's a potential. Until you move, that's when action happens. Other than that, I can lend you all my books if you want. But until you start taking action, because you will never begin to trust yourself until you take action. And what happens is once you develop a habit of taking action then you trust yourself. You say, this guy takes action everywhere. He takes action at work. He takes action in exercise. I can trust this guy. Then you do anything you want in life. But if a guy doesn't take actions in first grade, he's not going to take action in second grade. So what happens is fear is basically when we have an itch of fear, we're supposed to do what? Completely go in the opposite. So that's the number one problem that the Jews didn't get out of Egypt because of fear, because of emunah. Second problem, what happens? That's why we know what Pharaoh did at the end of the day. He didn't make them slaves anymore. There's always a question, why was there a 6-month delay between the Jews getting out of Egypt? And why did the Midrash say, why did you go to your friends and get your garments from your friends? Get the gold from your friends' houses. What do you mean, my friends? I'm in slavery. How could you? What do you mean? They're not my friends. They were my oppressors, the Egyptians. What happens is Pharaoh did a reverse psychology. You know what he did at the last 6 months? That's why there was a delay. 6 months. What's the delay? They're stuck in the airport? No. You know what's the delay? They said, you know what? Make them comfortable. Say, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to work. You don't have to do nothing. Just mingle with everybody else. He says, I'm not going to get them on that, but I'm going to get them on comfort. So Eddie says, we're slaves in Egypt. We have free food. We have free food. Imagine being in Alcatraz and said, I love the ping pong table here. I'd rather be in Alcatraz. Can you imagine? Imagine a guy being in Alcatraz. He doesn't want to get out. That's what's happening today. When you don't want to get out of that addiction, God forbid, you don't want to get out of that, it's only because you like comfort. And once we're in comfort, what happens? You don't want to make plans. Because when you don't want to make plans, because you don't want to get underneath the hood of the car to find out what you need to fix. So we procrastinate. I used to be a massive procrastinator. Massive. When's my mother-in-law come? Oh, tell her to come back tomorrow. I used to be a massive, because when you don't want to do something, you procrastinate. When you don't trust yourself, you procrastinate, you put it off. When are you going to work out? Tomorrow. Why? Oh, the gym's not open. The advisor that I spoke to is not there tomorrow. That's the person I wanted to. And then the next day, Purim's coming. After Purim, the Jews, they find the holiday. The Jews not only find the Jewish holidays, but they also use Labor Day. They use all of them just to procrastinate. Whatever it is, everybody here. When are you going to start the diet? After Purim. Always the holiday. You're always blaming the holidays. Stop blaming the holidays, people. Get moving. So Reb Nachman's thing is, if you can do something today, who knows you're going to be able to do tomorrow? Who says you're going to get the opportunity tomorrow? And procrastination is literally living in fear. So why am I so reluctant to plan for the future? Yeah, I got cut off. Why? Because you don't want to see where you are and you're afraid to examine your life closely. You don't want to check on your ego. You don't want to work on yourself. So what happens? You say, you know what? What party's tomorrow? We numb, and at the end of the day, you can't numb so much anymore. So when we have pain, what do? There's 3 things when we have pain. Either, what do? We numb the pain, we distract ourselves from the pain, not to deal with it. That's the number one things people do. Second thing people do, I used to do this all the time. I had a problem that I wanted to deal with, Shalom Bayit problem before. Let's go to the heat game. Just distract. Avoid the problem. And nobody wants to deal with problems. Second thing is, we create a story. We create a story, and we justify why this happened to us. That's the second way to stay. We put a wall, comfortable wall, and we say, I'm staying here because I was born, somebody did this to me, so I can't be successful. You create a story, a distortion. Rehab, it's all distortion. What does one thing have to do with the other? What does one thing have to do with the other? There's nothing to do with the other. But you can create a story and justify it, and then you become that. The third thing is, what do? We deal with it, we face reality, and we give it meaning. Hashem, this came to me, this pain came to me because you wanted to bring me closer. And then, the third thing, you actually see a sign. You embrace emunah, you see a sign, and then you start taking massive action. And then, you have to understand, the more people usually, you'll see the same person, and I did this, I work with people, that I was able to help a few of my employees out. And somehow, when all of a sudden they lost 30 pounds, they're feeling better about themselves, wow, how come the same customer that called you 2 weeks ago, you're yelling at today, nothing bothers you. That you let it go. Because the more confident you are, the more things you let go. Nothing bothers you. You let go. But if you don't have any confidence in yourself, what happens? Anybody that says something to you, you're going to bark right back. Because your mood is a reflection of your self-confidence. Your mood is a reflection of your self-confidence. Not sometimes you're tired, etc. But in general, if you're like a Mr. Grumpy, you have a bigger problems than just being grumpy. So I realized that why are some people, they let it go. What's the difference? One guy lets it go, and another guy, he wants to make sure, because he's not happy with himself. And the problem is, if you're not happy with yourself, you're not going to be happy with anybody else. And you can't have a real marriage with this. You can't have a real marriage, because you're always taking, you're not giving. It's about you. It's always about you. You can't give to anybody else. If you can't give to anybody else, what kind of marriage can you possibly have? So this, unfortunately, if we don't fix these things, it turns destructive. It turns destructive. So, what is Rav Nachman's famous lesson here? He's telling us here, lesson 66, on how to accomplish or how to return potential into actual. How do we do it? Why is this, if you look at America today, I think 85%, what's the number? 92% of the 17 million people that try to quit smoking each year fail. 92%. That means 8% make it of the 70, only 8%. 8%, it's crazy. 95% of people who lose weight, they fail to keep it off long term. 5% chance of succeeding. 88% of the people who set New Year's resolution failed at their attempt. January 15th, the gym's empty. Up to January 15th, oh, this is a new year, blah, 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 blah. But once there comes a little pain, no. Too much pain. Because you don't love yourself enough. If you love yourself, you would endure the pain. That's the difference. So, this is basically why? Because we don't have enough leverage on ourselves. Leverage is you don't love yourself enough. If you love yourself enough, then you would want it. But if you don't really love yourself, imagine if they told the guy from Amazon and tell them, you know what? It's going to take you 7 years to make money. First 7 years, you're not making $1. You're going to lose money for 7 years. If this guy wasn't committed to his vision, you know what he'd say? Let me go do something else. Let me buy a Carvel franchise. 7 years it took Amazon to make money. Look what Amazon today is. You understand? 7 years. So that's the vision people have to have. So Rav Nachman gives us in lesson 66 the key to obstacles. What are we supposed to do in obstacles? First, in order for you to succeed in something, you have to yearn for it. Yearn is a desire. If there's no desire, there's nothing. Do you want to get better? Do you want to fix your life? Forget it. New customer. Doesn't have enough desire. You don't have enough desire to win. If you're like 50-50, if it takes you 25 seconds to decide if you want to win, next. Because you're not going to be able to handle the obstacles. So your desire has to be, the person who has the desire is the only way Rav Nachman is telling us to turn it from potential to actual. Because in order for you to become a new person, you have to step into a new soul. You can't become who you're supposed to be in that soul, because that new soul is the new you. So I can't just stay in my own body and hit that level. So through desire, a person creates that new desire. Whatever you yearn for, yearns for you. So he says, all of the person's obstacles that a person encounters are solely for the sake of a desire. That means the only reason why you have an obstacle in something, it's because it's to teach you to have more desire. It's not to tell you to run away. You take a candy away from a kid. The kid says, give me a Prozac, I'll be okay. What is it? Give me the candy. Give it to me more. He doesn't say, give me okay, it's okay. Not today. What does the kid do? Only on us, adults, that create these stupid stories that don't go for our what we want. We give up on our dreams. Our dreams don't give up on you. You give up on your dreams. That's what happens. We give up on them, one little obstacle, a little pain. Oh, no, it's not for me. Maybe I should do something else. I said, what are you talking? You did a business plan and everything. So you had one headache? It's like the famous example I gave. I had a friend. He started so strong, but he didn't plan his obstacles. He was too positive. No, don't be Mr. Positive. You have to plan your obstacles. I already planned for this website, for this singles thing. I planned already 40, 50 obstacles that are going to happen. It's going to break. It's going to do this. So because remember, in order to profit, you have to scream. A woman has to have 70 contractions in order to give birth. She's Moroccan, she'll scream 120. But she has to go through these screams in order to give birth. These are the same cries that you have to go through in order to accomplish something. In order to make something from potential to actual, you have to create those screams. It's just like a birth of a baby, or a birth of a business, or any kind of birth. You want to beat an addiction, you're going to have to scream and want it. Just maybe it's not enough. So he's saying here, and according to the amount of the good that's in that obstacle. That means that's why usually before people are about to get married, all of a sudden, all the headaches come. Why? Because the desire, look what's going to come, maybe 3 children can come out of this. Who knows what the greatness that can come out of this? So what happens? All the obstacles come. Now, if they love each other, they rip right through it. If they don't love each other that much, then they're out. Then they start saying, it's this person, that person, oh, she's too strong for me. She's doing this. No, it's not this too strong. You just didn't have enough desire. You didn't want it enough. There's nothing to do with that. You're supposed to rip right through it. And this is, he says here, this is exactly everything according in Judaism. It's an integral part of your life. That your whole spirituality renders on whether you can hit curveballs. Your whole spirituality is based on whether a person can hit a curveball. If you can't hit a curveball, go back to minor leagues. Because if you want to get into the majors, you're gonna have to hit curveballs and smile. He says, since as a result of the obstacle his desire increases, therefore a person should know that there's no barrier in the world that cannot break if he really wants it. This is because the barrier exists only for the sake of the desire. And when a person has a strong enough desire and will, his yearning will be able to accomplish that task. If your why is big enough, you'll figure out the how. If you don't have that big why, you're not going to figure out how to do it. If you want to lose weight, any goal that you want to do, anything that you want to do, the reason why you're not hitting it is because you don't want it enough. Be honest. That's the real honesty. If you wanted to wake up, you would have woken up. It's all about the desire. Remember, our whole life is based on this concept. This is not like, it's a nice class Wednesday night. Let's go hear these things. This is your whole life is based on you, for Rav Nachman saying, every day, you got to get comfortable falling and rising. Get comfortable with it. A tzaddik falls 7 times, and he gets up the 8th time. Why is he telling you this? Why is he telling you, Rav Nachman, that your whole life is going to be living like a big olive? That means one day, you're going to feel like you're on top of the world, you're riding, everything's going great, and the next day, you're going to have to hold on for your life. He says, our life comes down to an olive. What's the upper yud? When it's riding good, double up on tens, do as much as you can, put it in escrow, because when you fall, you're going to be hanging on just by the little thread of your little olive. And he says, a key to becoming an Adam, the key to becoming an Adam is what's the dam? Dam means blood. You need the olive. That means you need to become an expert at going up and down. This is life. One day is great. One day you're going to see, what happened to yesterday? Where was I? What did I do? You didn't do nothing. It's just you hit a different level. This is the olive. So that's why Rav Nachman in this generation, you feel like what happens is we start blaming ourselves. Wow, yesterday I was doing great. And today, what did I do? Maybe I did this. Maybe I did that wrong. And you start hating yourself. For no reason. For no reason. It has nothing to do with you. It's part of the process. You have to go through ups and downs. You have to go through the olive. You have to ride the olive and go down. Your marriage could be so great for 2 weeks. Next thing you know, what happened? What happened to you? What happened to all the momentum? So you start losing your spirit, and then you give up. No, it's just you have to there's times to be dumb. Shh, lower your voice, don't talk, let the day pass. You don't have to know all the answers. I, thank God, have taken lesson Aleph, and I've been an expert at that class. Because I know, I don't. There's times I get up for his bodedut, I go back to sleep. Nothing to say, 0 to say today. What did you do wrong? I don't start telling negative things to myself. Why would I want to talk bad about myself? Why would I want to talk negative things to myself? I'm no good, I'm this, you didn't pray enough, you didn't do this. What kind of stupidity is that? Why would I talk something negative to myself? How foolish. Imagine a guy walking in the street talking negative things to himself. I'm no good. What? But yet people do it all day long. Why would you want to say negative things about yourself? What is that? Is it going to make you feel great? No, you're going to say, okay, good. We must have hit a different level. And every low comes a bigger high. Every low comes a bigger high. You have to get at becoming an expert at going through the aleph. There's nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with the way you're thinking. That's the problem. The obstacle is in the mind. It has nothing to do with the girl. It has nothing to do with this. Many businesses, I see this all the time. I almost can see it and I foresee it already. I see it already. So when I get those good days, I ride them. But don't think you're going to be up here forever. Don't think you're going to be up here forever. Take a parachute, start getting comfortable with the parachute, and take the parachute down, and then go back up again. That's what Nachman says. You have to be an expert at running and returning. Running and returning. Running and returning. This is the key to everything. There's nothing wrong with you. When you're returning, shut your mouth. Don't say negative things. Don't put an emotion to it. The emotion says, I'm no good. God's rejecting me. No, it's impossible to succeed at that level. It's almost like a football player. One day he scores 40 points and the next day he scores 10 points. Is there something wrong with him? He should be cut from the team? No. He had a 40-point game. You can't have a 50, 60 without going through that dip. Because the dip is the new level. Once you hit that spiritual level, then you have to hit that new level of klipot. And this is basically the story of Judaism. The reason why you fell is because that's where the Yetzer Hara. Remember, the Yetzer Hara is not going to tell you you're great when you're up 50 to nothing. He's going to tell you, listen, you're never coming back. You're never coming back. Look how low you are. He's going to tell you when you're zero, when you're in your worst. He knows when to get you. So what do you have to do? Shh. I don't listen to anything I don't want to hear. I focus on what I want to focus on the climb. I'm not going to focus on the down, because what's that going to do? It's going to put me really down. And this is why people are getting into such problems, because they don't know how to navigate their ups and downs. And they start tying meaning. Oh, I fell because of this. I fell because of that. No, you fell because you're in an aleph. And you have to go from the higher point to the lower point. And once you're able to navigate this, then you become an Adam. An Adam means a man. Without becoming an Adam, you can't be that. That means don't expect your marriage to be 100% great all the time. Don't start blaming the spouse. This is why we're fighting, because of you. No, it's an obstacle that you must go through, because that's a new level where you're reaching. Don't start blaming people. Don't start blaming things. Don't create problems when they don't need to be existed. That's Rab Nachman. That's why he's so great. He's able to take something so simple and make it so clear. So now you know. Now you know what you have to do. And then once you have this mentality, when you have those rough days, you quiet, let the day go for a run. It's not going to be a great day every day. It doesn't mean you don't have a munah. It doesn't mean you're nobody. Don't let life knock you down because of an illusion, which is at the end of the day, it's all a bunch of illusions, nothing else. And that's why when you have this mentality, you have everything. That's what he's saying here. There's no barrier in the world that a person cannot break. He must only have a very strong desire to break it. You have to have your goal, you have to have your vision, but get ready to go on a big ride. And don't tie to meetings. Now, the good thing is once you go to higher levels, like a stock, starts at 10, it goes to 15, and then it only goes down to 13. It doesn't go back to 10. It goes back to 13, and then it goes back to 18, and then it goes back to 15. You make new lows. That's what you should do. Don't get depressed. It's not going to do nothing for you. Just jump back on the aleph. Jump back wherever you were. You fell out of it, jump back right in. And that's what we have to ride. And this is the key really to any kind of falling and true everything. Because the obstacle is only there so you can have a desire to get bigger. All right? That's today's class.